Hey guys, welcome to The Bite. My name is Jackie. Today's recipe is rice pudding or ruz bḥalīb, and I grew up eating this because my dad loves pudding. Either rice pudding or chocolate pudding were his absolute favorites, because where he grew up in Ramallah, Palestine, whenever he would leave school on like a Friday afternoon, the school would provide the students with warm chocolate pudding. So I love eating it warm, even though I know it's very customary, especially in America, to eat it cold. I enjoy it warm. I feel like I always had some sort of pudding in the fridge because my dad made it so often. You can use leftover rice, and I'll explain kind of how you would implement a leftover rice as opposed to an uncooked rice while we're making it. But for now, let's go over the ingredients. So you're gonna want to use a short grain rice. You can use like an Asian rice for sushi, or this is actually Arborio rice, which is for risotto, or even the Valencia rice for paella. All of those work great as long as it's short grain and has the starch. You're gonna need some milk. You can use whatever milk you want, but I prefer just whole milk. You're gonna need a little bit of sugar, and this part is optional. You can really flavor it with whatever you want. My dad always liked cinnamon or even just plain, and sometimes he would add a little bit of rose water. You know how I feel about rose water though. I'm kind of iffy about it. I'm coming around though, I'm coming around. But today I'm gonna do a vanilla cardamom rice pudding. I'm gonna use cardamom powder, or ground cardamom. And then I found vanilla bean paste at Trader Joe's. You can totally use vanilla extract, but I'm gonna try this vanilla bean paste because I'm excited to see the little flecks of the vanilla beans in the rice pudding. So let's head over to the stove and start cooking. So first thing you're gonna wanna do is add the milk to the pot, and all the measurements are gonna be on my blog as usual, but I'm gonna pour 3 cups of milk into a small saucepan. I'm going to let it come to a light boil, and then I'm gonna add the rice. Once the milk has come to a boil, you're going to add the rice and bring the heat down to medium-low. And in the meantime, you want to keep stirring so that the bottom doesn't scorch and that the rice doesn't get stuck. So most of the time when I cook rice for a meal, I always rinse it to remove the starch. But in this case, the starch is really gonna help thicken the rice pudding so that we don't have to add like cornstarch or anything to it. You could, but I really prefer it this way, and this is how my dad made it, so this is how I'm gonna make it. The starch in the short grain rice really does a good job in creating the pudding for you. And by the way, I did turn this down, but I might even turn it down a little bit more just so it doesn't bubble over. If you're using leftover rice, you would want to do the same method. You would want to let the milk boil first and then add it in. However, at that point you may want, and by the way, don't add any rice with flavoring or anything that you cook with chicken stock, or added a little turmeric to or anything like that, because you don't want that in rice pudding, okay? This is a dessert. So just plain, simple, no salt, no nothing, rice pudding. So then if you're using leftover rice, you could add a little bit of extra cornstarch depending on the rice. And if you did have a long grain rice like basmati or something like that, you could try. I've never done it with that, but you may want to add a little cornstarch for that. My dad would actually, and if he were making rice pudding from scratch, a lot of times he would cook the rice separately with water, just like you normally would, and then add it to this, but he still wouldn't add any cornstarch. So you want to just stay right here. Don't go too far because the rice will stick. You don't have to stay hovering over it like you're trying to get its number or anything like that, but you do not want to go far because it will stick and it'll burn. So stay close, periodically stir it from the bottom, and give it about 20-25 minutes till the rice is cooked, and then we'll add the rest of the flavorings. In the beginning, it may look like there's way too much liquid in here and that it'll never cook this amount of rice, but the rice will soak up a lot of this milk, and as it cools in the fridge, it will thicken even more. And I'll show you what that looks like towards the end of this video. But just be patient. Once the rice cooks, it'll absorb a lot and it will thicken whatever liquid is left. All right, 20 minutes later, you can see the rice has definitely expanded. You can kind of see that it's a little bit thicker as well. I'm about to add the sugar and all the flavorings, and the sugar will also help it thicken up. But first, I'm gonna add a little bit of cardamom because I love cardamom. Just a little dash. That even is kind of a lot for me, but I just love the smell, the flavor of it. And then I'm gonna add this vanilla bean paste because I'm so excited about it. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more than that. I don't want these vanilla beans to go to waste, so I'm just gonna mix that in as well. Ooh, look at all those little flecks. Some of them are from the cardamom, but you know. So mixing that in, and then we need to add the sugar. The vanilla bean paste does have sugar as well, so I added less of that than I would of a vanilla extract. All the measurements, like always, are on my blog, but I'm gonna let this sit. The reason I don't add the sugar in the beginning is so that it doesn't burn. It can scald and just kind of, sugar burns very easily anyway, so I wouldn't want it to sit on the stove like that for 20 minutes. So now that everything is in, I'm gonna allow this to cook for about 5 minutes, let the flavors all kind of meld and get to know each other a little bit better. And once that's done, I'll let it cool off slightly before I indulge. The vanilla pudding is done, and I'm loving the color of it, the smell, just the little vanilla flecks. It's beautiful. And it is a little bit thinner, maybe for some people, but it will thicken up. And I'm gonna insert a clip of what it looks like once it has cooled down in the fridge overnight. So that way it's the perfect consistency once you remove it from the fridge. And I actually like it this way. And like I said, I've always eaten it warm too, because that's how my dad has always done it. He used these exact glasses, he still does, and he puts them into little individual portions just like this in the fridge. He'll take saran wrap or plastic wrap and cover it so that it's touching the pudding. So that way, the little film or skin that kind of forms up on top of any kind of pudding really, it prevents that from happening. And I think we actually learned that from Giada a long time ago. So thanks, Giada. But I'm gonna give this a try because I'm excited. Those vanilla beans look so pretty. So good. And that addition of cardamom is like just enough. If you wanted to this combination, you could add rose water. Man, this is good. This is like comforting to the max, especially in the fall. It's quick and it's easy, and it's a great way to use up leftover rice, just like my family always did. So I hope you guys give this a try, and this is freezable. Quick note, it's freezable. Freeze it in individual containers, let it thaw in the fridge overnight, and you've got yourself a nice little semi-frozen snack, little sweet treat. So good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more. The recipe will be on my blog, and I hope you guys give it a try. Thanks for watching.